I've been thinking over the last couple months whether or not you should even be purchasing the Nintendo Switch, considering how close we are to the release or in the announcement of the Switch 2. And that's not even to mention the rapid increase in the popularity of portable gaming, increasing the amount of available devices available to pick from. So, since the last 6 to almost 7 years of the Switch's existence, we've just seen this massive increase of portable gaming. But to answer the question right off the top, I absolutely do believe the Switch is well worth it in 2023. That doesn't mean every Switch is worth buying in 2023. So I'm just going to go through all of the models of Switch that we have and basically pros and cons them, and it's up to you to make the final decision which model you think probably is the one you should buy this late into the game. I'll of course give you my thoughts and opinions on that, but ultimately the decision's up to you. We originally got the original model of the Switch way back in 2017 for $300, where the price of it still stands today. And the original Switch was a good device. The screen has aged poorly out of, I think, everything on it. And overall, this is the one Nintendo probably makes the most, discounts and bundles with. So if you were to get this model, I would only basically recommend this one if you get it in a bundle or find some sort of discount or deal involving this one. I know Nintendo loves to do during the holiday season include like Mario Kart, maybe a New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Some games sometimes they do that, and commonly I always see they always do like 1-2 Switch. I see that one quite frequently, but this time around, unless you find a bundle that you like, I can't recommend the Switch, OG model that often. I know usually some people do, but I feel like the OLED, well, as we get into later, probably might be a little bit better in that context. In the if you're talking about strictly portability, the light would be better for that too, but we'll get into that later. The original model Switch is the model I have. I have the original model Switch. I never upgraded or swapped out for a different model of Switch, so I do have a lot of attachment to this model. But out of all of the versions of the Switch, I think this is the one that's hardest to recommend at this late into the game. Moving on to the second model Switch that they released, the Nintendo Switch Lite. This model is my favorite, if I'm being honest. I love the design of this one. The screen, though it is the same 720p resolution, since it's smaller, it does look a little bit crisper, and the bezels are a little bit smaller. So overall, it is actually, to me, a better screen than the original Switch. On top of that, it's $100 cheaper, and there's even a bunch of awesome, like limited edition, console, fun variants of it to pick up. There's of course, the Animal Crossing one. There's the Pokemon ones they've done in the past. There's just so many cool versions you could get of the Switch Lite. And of course, I know you can get those for the original and the OLED. I just always preferred the ones that they made for the Lite, because they've always done full body shells, like the one that they did for Scarlet and Violet. That one was sick. But in terms of value, you do lose some features. Of course, you can't dock this version. You can't take off the Joy-Cons because they're permanently affixed because it's a portable-only device. And that does mean you can't play every single game in the library. I know that means there's some game modes you won't be able to play in certain Mario Party games. Of course, ones that were bad, so that doesn't necessarily matter to everyone. And there's some games like that fitness one where you're the fire person. That one I know you won't be able to play easily, at least. There's even 1-2 Switch in its sequel that aren't easily playable on the Switch Lite, especially if you have to pair outside Joy-Cons to it. It's a really awkward and clunky experience. So I can see how the Switch Lite isn't for everybody, but this late in the game, I don't think the people who are waiting to buy it now are necessarily gonna play, 1-2 Switch, because the only reason why any of us played that game was because the Switch had 6 games at launch, and 1-2 Switch was one of them. So that's basically the only reason why any of us bought or played this game. I personally never paid for it myself. I just only have experience playing it at relatives' houses, and this game is bad. I hate 1-2 switch with a passion. So honestly, I don't think that's big of a loss as some people might think it is, and especially considering like once the new Switch comes out, maybe you don't always take that one with you. You could just take the Switch Lite with you and enjoy that instead. And so I think that makes it a little bit more uniquely positioned to be a little bit more, have more value than the original Switch. So overall, I highly recommend, if you're waited this long, to just get the Switch Lite, save some money, and be able to probably use it well into the future. Not necessarily in its full, main gaming capacity, but hopefully Nintendo's account systems get better and it doesn't get super weird if you have the old Switch. So honestly, I can recommend this one a lot. The OLED overall is an interesting device. The screen is immaculate. Playing Tears of the Kingdom on that thing, it looks stunning, beautiful even. And the bezels on it aren't the thinnest, but they're a lot thinner, and that new kickstand is amazing. But it's $350, and they're not going to discount it like they will the other two models we've discussed. So it's rarely up to you at the end of the day, but I frankly can't recommend it if you're waited this long to get in the game. Obviously, the Switch OLED has many advantages to it. A nicer quality screen, but I've actually kind of experienced, since it's still that 720p resolution, it being a little bit more, obvious, the blockiness of the pixels, Like, it's like using a 30-inch 1080p screen as a monitor. Yeah, it's big, but you can count the pixels. It's not the most dense screen out there, is what I'm saying. Though it is very beautiful, and I can appreciate that at the very least. So to surmise, out of the three options, only get the original Switch if you find a bundle that you like. Get the Switch Lite if you don't have any other Nintendo devices and you're budget conscious, so get the Switch Lite is the one I recommend the most. OLED is there if you want the best, Nintendo Switch experience, you want a longer battery life, and you want an overall more premium experience. Moving on to performance. They all perform relatively, basically exactly the same. So, as an example, all the games basically run at 720p 30 FPS. Some run a little bit less in portable mode, some run a little bit higher in docked mode. For example, games like Mario Odyssey run at like 900p or 1080p when docked, and run at the lower 720p in portable mode. Games like The Witcher 3, which is a really big game. On docked mode, I believe it plays at 720p, and then when you play it portably, it plays at 640p. Substantially lower resolution, and it is noticeable. But that's the kind of drawback you have with the Switch this late in the game. And frankly, compared to other devices, it is weaker substantially. Compared to some of its competitors, like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, those do offer a higher quality and higher fidelity level of a gaming experience. But none of those can really beat the Switch, except maybe the Steam Deck in terms of its price. The Steam Deck starts at $400, which is $50 more than the most expensive Nintendo Switch. And yes, the Steam Deck is still substantially more powerful than the Switch, but I feel like even though that is the case, the Switch does offer tons of exclusive games and a higher degree of optimization that the Steam Deck just doesn't really offer. Though the Steam Deck doesn't necessarily need it because it could brute force, with higher performance, and not every game on Switch will be optimized as well as others. For example, Scarlet and Violet, that game was just so dog shit at release. And I hear it's getting better, but I put the game down for the last time not too long ago, and I'm still disappointed with the performance of that game. The Steam Deck does begin to show its age at this point, but I feel like where they really start showing their difference is in terms of their battery life. The Steam Deck, when you're playing, like a AAA game that the Switch might have, for example, they both have Red Dead Redemption. One device plays it for like an hour, and the other device plays it for like 3.5 hours. Care to guess which devices do that? Yeah, the Steam Deck plays the game for like an hour and a half, which is ridiculous, while the Switch version can run for quite a bit longer than that, double the time played. So I feel like that's where the Switch sort of claws back a lot of my recommendation, especially because the Switch Lite, considering that can run all of the same games the other Switch devices can, but just $100 cheaper than the rest of them, or even $150 cheaper compared to the OLED, is really where the argument starts really falling apart. For 50% savings compared to a Steam Deck, you can get a Switch Lite. So that's really boils down to, oh my god, $200 or just a little bit more performance in some games. I know it's bigger in some, but I'm just counting the games that they share, not necessarily entire libraries. And of course there's levels of optimization and stuff like that, but like I think battery life to me matters so much, because the idea of being stuck to a wall to charge every like hour to 2 hours isn't exactly a portable gaming experience, you know? The Switch I can reliably trust to, I could take with me on a day trip to like a friend's house or a family member's house and come back with, play my Switch the whole time there and come back home with some level of battery life still remaining. If it was the Steam Deck, I would have had to charge and died like multiple times in that span and probably be dead by the time I get home. So I think that's truly where like the Switch makes the difference and claws back my recommendation, and especially because I think they draw fundamentally different crowds, because people buying the Steam Deck usually have some form of PC library or have some form of PC experience. The Switch is really, claim to fame is with social media garbage down below.